who's down in the press room. They're signing autographs for everybody.
'Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Argyle TV. Today, Home Park is playing host to its final game of 2024. And it's certainly been an interesting year for Argyle here, but they will be hoping to end it the way they started, with a win, taking on Middlesbrough this afternoon. Borough are the league's entertainers this season. Their matches have most definitely provided the most goals in the league, and they very much have their eyes on promotion to the Premier League at the end of this season. So Argyle are going to have their work cut out to stop them and get the goals here at Home Park, but they're certainly going to enjoy playing here in front of the crowd at home today. Hello, good afternoon. I am Erin Black, and as you can see, it's as glamorous as ever here down at the Devonport end at Home Park, in the rain and the wind this afternoon. Pre-match show, Match Day Live here on Argyle TV for you, bringing you all the action this afternoon. It's just twice that Argyle have been beaten here this season, so that's 15 of their 17 points picked up here at Home Park, and they'll be wanting to use some of those home comforts to help get back on track and hopefully sign off Christmas with a win this afternoon. Don't forget, your match passes, both audio and video, are available for you to buy now over on the website. You want to go to pafc.co.uk for all of the details on that. And I'm pleased to say, joining me for Match Day Live this afternoon is none other than Aaron Cusack, who has been with me all day, breakfast show and this. Feeling ready for it, Aaron?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are, Erin. It's a bit of a wet and wild day, but it's an opportunity to get 3 points on the board. Hopefully, start the festive period on a positive and surge up that league table.
Yeah, I'm going to put my head down because my peripheral vision is limited during this. I think it may have just eased off on the rain. It's this time of year, isn't it? It just gets wet and miserable. But if Argyle can perform today, that will certainly replace the weather in terms of atmosphere, mood builder.
Yeah, of course. They had a positive performance last Saturday away at Sheffield United. Whilst they didn't quite get the result they wanted, it was something to hold on to. And intel suggests that they've had a positive week in training. They've done some extra work to try and set up a strategy that can hopefully result in 3 points this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, things that we're looking at today, of course, Argyle do not want to continue this losing streak. That's certainly not one that they want to do. And we've got to think about the improved performance that we saw against Sheffield United. Yes, we didn't get the points or the result that we wanted or necessarily deserved, but I think everyone, pretty much across the board, did find that performance, there were moments to take away, which I'm sure you found doing your analysis show as well.
Yeah, we did, Erin, and and everyone at the football club said prior to the game, can you go up and put in a performance that everyone would be proud of? And I think they could have stepped away last week from a performance perspective, proud of their efforts, proud of their application, going to the league leaders, dominating possession, limiting them to a number of chances. I think we had more chances. So, like I've already alluded to, there's something to build now, something to hold on to, and hopefully they can, where they've got to go back to the drawing board is creating chances, converting them, and trying to, get their noses in front in games.
Yeah. And Argyle do sometimes have this funny way of pulling a performance out of the bag against teams that you wouldn't really expect. When you look at a lot of these fixtures on paper, you kind of know how they're going to play out, and of course in some ways they do, but we've seen Argyle do it before, and they could do it again where they pull something out of the bag quite unexpected.
Absolutely. I mean, Joe Edwards was on the breakfast show this morning, and he said about how vital the home crowd are, the Green Army. They are such an integral part of this football club. And it can be quite intimidating to come to Home Park and try and put in a performance from an opposition's perspective.
Yeah.
So they've got to build on that. They've got to make sure the crowd get behind them. If they can get an early goal and get the crowd behind them, there's no reason why they can't, beat Middlesbrough this afternoon.
Yeah, well, let's see who Rooney has chosen as his starting 11 to take on Middlesbrough in a few moments' time. Your starting 11 are Daniel Grimshaw, Barley Mumba, Cornell Suge, Ryan Hardy, Michael Obafemi, Mustafa Bundu, Lewis Gibson with the captain's armband, Darko JB, Adam Randall, Brendan Galloway and Rami Al-Haj. And on the bench, Hazard, Ogbeta, Houghton, Wright, Gray, Soranola, Isaka, Finn and Palson. Looking at that lineup, Aaron, it's a strong one again.
It's unchanged, yeah. So, I mean, that showcases a lot for me in that they were really pleased with the performance and application last week. I felt they had good balance at the back. They had Galloway at left full-back, Barley Mumba at right full-back, and then they had Lewis Gibson, an orthodox left centre-back, left-footed, so and suits the right side. So when you've got good balance, it means you're more comfortable, you can play with a lot more symmetry, and you can build. And I felt they built really well. And clearly, the team that played last week, the management were happy with the returns to an extent, and they've picked the same 11 this afternoon.
And I remember when Rooney first took over the job, and he made that statement saying, if I'm not happy with how you play, it doesn't matter how kind of comfortable you think you are in the squad. You're in, you're out. There's no loyalty in that respect to names or anything like that. And so he's obviously seen something in the side that we saw last time where he's gone, I was impressed with that. Let's go again and see what damage we can do.
Yeah, and I think the back four in particular is probably the strongest back four he could put out currently. Obviously, Joe's coming back from injury, but what's currently available to him, that back four last week, the back four today, it's unchanged, is arguably the best we can put out. So that gives him a bit of assurance that he can go in and hopefully players can step up and try and get something from this game.
We know with Middlesbrough we will be taking on former Argyle player Finn Azaz. One of the players that Argyle have that was kind of looked at as filling in that gap is Rami Al-Haj in the starting lineup today. I mean, how crucial do you think he's going to be for today's game?
Well, when he first arrived there, and he set the world alight almost. He came in, opening home game, scored on his debut, was against Luton, was really effective in that game. I think he was given player of the match. So he arrived with a lot of interest, a lot of pedigree. I think he could quickly become a fan's favourite. He had a little bit of a setback, a little bit of a lull in terms of form, but credit where credit's due. He's gone back to the drawing board. He's worked himself back into the starting 11. I thought he was excellent last week. I really do feel he's got that quality that links the units.
Yeah.
And if he can step up and become a bit more consistent with his play, then he could easily become a fan's favourite here.
And another fan favourite, Adam Randall, is making his 150th appearance today. I mean, a testament to, rising through the ranks and, going from, all the way through the academy to the first team squad and really establishing yourself as Argyle through and through, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think he's 24 years old now, so still young, but I think the majority of games have come for him in the last 3 or 4 years. So it just goes to show how much of a constant he's been in the setup. For me, he's having the best season of his career. I really do feel he's taking his game to another level. He's starting to show leadership qualities, but he's also starting to orchestrate the play. He's comfortable getting the ball in 360-degree pressure, and he's just showcasing the quality that he has as an all-round midfield player.
Yeah. And we see Mumba and Hardy in the starting lineup as well today. Mumba, no surprise, we've seen him a lot. Hardy's kind of been in and out in recent games, but both players scored against Borough last time we came up against them. So, that's probably got them feeling quite good about the fixture.
Yeah, very much so. You look back fondly on when you've contributed. Ryan, along with the other forward players, no one's really cemented the number one position. They're all vying for that spot, but not one person's really taken the mantle and scored loads of goals.
Yeah.
I think the highest goal scorer is only 3 in 20-odd games. It's not a lot. And Barley Mumba seems to have settled back in. I think he does prefer like a left wing-back role, but if we don't play a back three, he needs to become accustomed to where his strengths are. Scored last year. We know how attacking he can be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll enjoy playing against, Finizaz this afternoon and against players that he knew he could unpick last season.
Yeah, well, let's see who else is joining Finizaz on the lineup this afternoon. We have got Sol Bryn in goal, Rav Vandenberg, Hayden Hackney, Riley McGree, Anthony Dykestiel, Johnny Howson, Finizaz there in the number 20 shirt, Tommy Conway, George Edmondson, Neto Borges, Ben Doak, and then on the bench, Glover, Barlaser, Clark Fry, Latte Lath, Bergzorg, Jones, Gilbert and Hamilton. Latte Lath on the bench, which is an interesting one because you picked him out in your analysis in the breakfast show as, a real game changer.
Yeah, I mean, he's top scorer, but he's been replaced with the joint top scorer, Tommy Conway. So it just goes to show the quality that they have, Carrick has at his disposal.
Yeah.
They'll be aware that they've got a congested festive period like all clubs have, so it might just be an element of rotation. You're replacing an 8-goal scorer with another 8-goal scorer. So there's a good chance that they're going to come in. And I think the talisman is Finizaz. He's playing. It's no coincidence he's playing. 8 assists already, highest in the division. For me, arguably the best attacking midfielder outside of the Premier League at the minute.
Yeah.
So if we can keep him quiet, we've got every chance of getting something from this game.
Yeah, well, Finn, of course, won November Player of the Month, and he had 18 months at Home Park, of course. I think he'll probably get quite a good reception here at Home Park, regardless, but I think the reception might not be as welcoming if he starts putting them away against Argyle.
No, very true. I mean, he's a fantastic football player, Aaron, and he's showing his worth now at Middlesbrough. When he first went there, their fans weren't overly impressed with him, but he's settled in and he's showing the qualities that we know he has. I mean, he was outstanding here, he really was, and it was such a shame that we weren't able to add him to our team. But by all accounts, he's a really nice guy as well, and the fans will give him a good reception. We'd like him to have a quiet afternoon, of course, but you can't retract from the fact that he's full of quality. And if Argyle haven't done their homework, he could tear us apart effectively.
And of course, like you said, Conway starting his 100th champ appearance today. So, he is kind of a staple of this league. He knows what he's doing. And like you said, joint top goal scorer for Middlesbrough. There's a lot that Argyle need to be looking at defensively to be able to stop those goals coming in.
Yeah, and there might be a game plan that the aim is for Conway to... I don't know too much about him really. I know Latte Lath more, but if he's a bit of a runner and his job is to draw and widen and separate the back four, that tires them, puts them under fatigue. And then in the 60th minute, you introduce your main striker.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a daunting proposition. So that's why Argyle have got to remain tight. They've got to remain congested and compact, So they've got to make sure that they don't give obvious glaring spaces, available to their nearest threats. For me, I think they need to try and take it to Middlesbrough. They can't allow Middlesbrough to get a foothold in the game and dictate the play.
Yeah.
Got to try and disrupt them early, put them under pressure, and hopefully they can do that with the likes of Ryan Hardy and Obafemi.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Edwards spoke in the breakfast programme about how important it is to make Home Park, a daunting place as possible for opposition teams, which it has had a reputation of being certainly in previous seasons, and certainly still does now, but where we had, unbeaten runs here at Home Park, when you start to let one or two, losses in, does give a little chink in the armour, I suppose. But it's still a very daunting, atmosphere to come all the way down to here in Plymouth.
It is, Erin. When you look at it objectively, we've lost two fixtures at home this year, and they've both been by the odd goal. So we lost to Stoke 1-0, and we lost to Swansea 2-1. Preston was probably the only time this year where I felt that for 50 minutes they were outplayed, but they got something from the game. They got something from the game against Watford. So this is a very difficult place to come, and it's become a fortress over the last 2 or 3 years. And what they've got to do is rekindle that belief and put in performances that they know they're capable of, and make it difficult to pick up points here for the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we didn't get any points from our visit to Sheffield United last weekend, although it did end in defeat. It did get praise from fans and pundits alike. Head coach Wayne Rooney is hoping that his side can build on that.
The key thing will be doing that again, won't it? That can't just be like a one-game thing and you drop off again and then come back. You need to be able to build off good things.
Yeah, and again, a different team, Middlesbrough, different team, Sheffield United, different style of play, different way of pressing, different way of playing out from the back, so it's a different challenge. But I think what we have to do, we have to be consistent in what we're doing in our performance, and the more we can do that, the better chance we give ourselves of winning, and we're gradually getting players back into fitness, and so that'll certainly help us moving forward. Middlesbrough, analysing Middlesbrough, they're a good team. They've got some really dangerous individual players, along with some good patterns of play. So we certainly will have to be at our best to win. Yeah,
they just from the outside looking in at their results and stuff, they look like a side that like to score a lot of goals. There's been 5s in there, 4s in there, but they don't keep a whole lot of clean sheets. So that's probably an avenue, I suppose. Just being wary of what comes at you. But
listen, I think they're the third highest goal scorers in the league. But as you said, they have conceded goals as well, and probably been a little bit more consistent over the last few weeks. Early part of the season was a bit inconsistent with the results. So we know if we play at our best, we can cause them problems. We know that. So we have to go into there with. And build on the performance last week, and sign that extra bit in the final third to help us create more and score more goals. So if we do that, then we give ourselves the best chance.
Rooney using the word platform there, Aaron, and one that they need to build off, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there would have been lots of positives from last week's performance. They would have reflected on it, analysed it, what went well. Apart from the result, lots of things went well. So that's something to build on, and that's the platform they need to take into this fixture in particular. We know that Middlesbrough are coming to, the ground in relatively good form. They're 6th in the division, so in the playoffs. Their away form's okay. I mean, they've won 4, they've lost 4, they've drawn 2, so it's not flawless. So they are breachable, but you've got to go into the fixture believing you can get something from your opponent, and if you're setting up not believing it, then it's only going to go one way.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult enough as it is when you're having a tricky season. We spoke to Neil Dewsnip earlier, talked about the sweeping injuries that we've had throughout the squad. That's made the season challenging so far, along with other issues. I'm going to be part of the problem as well, because I'm throwing away stats around, like, Argyle haven't lost 5 games in a row for almost 5 years. Do you think there is an awareness of, things like that, where not only are you up against what's happening in the moment, but for Rooney and the team being aware of kind of where the club is season on season, and trying not to break negative records? Do you think that plays on the mind as well?
I mean, to an extent, yes. I mean, it'll be more heightened from a fan's perspective, because it's easy to throw a number at something and then everyone lock onto that label, that number. What we have to take into consideration is the circumstance. So the circumstance is that we, if they lose 5 in a row, but they've been decimated with injuries, then there's a reason for that. So what you don't want it is to become a trend where they're not solving the problems.
Yes.
So we'll see how that folds.
And I mean, on the flip side, you've got Michael Carrick, who is manager of Middlesbrough, teammate of Wayne Rooney's for 11 seasons at Man United. I imagine he will be looking forward to reuniting with Rooney on the side of the pitch today. But, you know, he's doing really well, isn't he? Have you been impressed with how he's been performing as their head coach?
Yeah, but very much so. But similar to Rooney, he went through a period midway part last season where he was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I think they went through a spell where they lost 5 in a row. You know, so if they're losing quite, and they're a massive club, I'm not saying Argyle aren't, but in comparison, they're a former Premier League team, they've got a huge budget, so he's under perhaps more pressure, and they've, you know, their chairman, they've stuck with him, they've invested well, they've got good balance, and now I think he's finally got the players at his disposal that he can build his strategy and his vision behind.
Yeah. Do you think it adds another little element of friendly rivalry when you've got former teammates for, you know, really long period of time coming up against each other like club v club now?
Absolutely. You know, they're always going to be competitive, and now their competition is in the dugouts, you know, so they're going to take immense pride, and they want to have that competitive notion of, I'm going to set my team up to beat your team. You know, and that's exactly what they're going to do this afternoon. You know, they'll shake hands before the game. They'll probably share a drink after the game. But in between, they're trying to do their best for the club that they're employed by. So, you know, there'll be no favouritism or nepotism or anything like that. They're going to want to try and beat their opposite number, whether they play with them or not.
So finally, when you're looking at Argyle, what do they need to do? You're saying come out quick, aggressive, fast, straight off the bat.
Yeah, they've got to look at the threats that Middlesbrough pose. We know Finizaz has got the threat, so they've got to stop that central space being attacked. You know, the stats suggest that Middlesbrough are predominantly right-sided in terms of their build-up. Like 45% of their build-up comes from the right-hand side. So Ben Doak, who's on loan from Liverpool, is going to be a key player. So you've got to thwart their strengths. What we've got to try and do is disrupt their back line. Don't make it easy for them to dominate possession. Middlesbrough like to dictate play in their opposition half. That means you're pressing them in. We can't allow them the opportunity to set the tempo for the strategy.
Yeah, well, we saw a better outing from Argyle last weekend, even though we didn't get the result we wanted. It's the same squad again today, so hopefully now that they're back at home park, they can deliver, and we are pretty much ready to see them deliver here on Argyle TV. So just a reminder, if you haven't got your match passes already, now is very much the time to do so. They're over on the website pafc.co.uk, and it is Charlie Price and Ian Stonebridge doing your commentary this afternoon. It's Argyle versus Middlesbrough.